So I'm Jochen Burkhardt. I'm actually from Germany, not from Switzerland. I'm working there in the IBM development lab in Böbling, which is close to Stuttgart. I only brought 4 slides on my iPad. Maybe we need to switch, yes. So I'm working in a group in IBM that develops the Internet of Things cloud. That means you can connect any device to that cloud, and we have the infrastructure behind it to operate it. So these are the different areas where our team in Böblingen is active. My main area of expertise is smarter home, and I will show you today a demo on smarter home. But what I do at work is we help the customers and provide the technology to get things connected, to integrate things, of course, so they can be interconnected with other devices or services, and create new value by providing the infrastructure that is needed to provide that new value. So what I will show is that you can connect any kind of device to a system in the cloud, and on top we have the new services. One example is when your washing machine is finished, it can notify you about that fact, because that was an important feature for me when I wanted to buy a washing machine, or when I bought it, I always forgot my laundry in there, and after 3 days you can start over with the washing machine. So getting that notification for me is more important than for other people, because I cannot hear the beeper of the washing machine because it's in the basement. Devices who can notify you are, for example, push notifications to your mobile devices, or on your TV, a text can appear. If your TV is on, a text can appear telling you that the washing machine has finished. With modern or new TVs, that is certainly possible. But of course, you don't want to write a piece of software that runs in your washing machine that can talk to every TV in the market. You want a function like a cloud that can translate between different devices. And this is the cloud that I will show that can do this. And so you must think of this as like a Facebook of devices, where your TV might become friend of your washing machine. And so this is how you do the connections between the different devices. So these are all my slides for today. And I'm working on this in IBM since about 5 years on smarter home. I have a 20-year history in IBM, and 10 years ago, I started with my personal home, completely renovating it. I run 3 kilometers of wires in it, and in the meanwhile, I have 260 connected devices in the house. And now I will show you live aspects of that, and hopefully interesting use cases in that area. So normally, you might think that a device like your smartphone is the main remote control in the house. This is actually, in my case, for the last 10 years, I use that device very rarely to control anything in the home. In the beginning, it was more difficult. Now, since we have the smartphones, it's easier. But my employer makes me to enter an 8-digit alphanumeric code. Now with fingerprint recognition, it's of course a bit easier. But when you start the app, you navigate to the right page just to turn a light on. That is too complicated. And so we could integrate it in the voice recognition of these devices. And now I can just tell my smartphone, tell house, turn light in the living room on, and when the light goes on. And this is really usability. So actually, I don't need a user interface here besides the voice commands for my smartphone. And the manufacturer of this device announced something recently where he's going to offer APIs for that integration. And I personally think that's a big step forward to get smart home in the hands of the normal users. Of course, much more usable are tablet devices. We built a smart home application as a front user interface. And we are still on the wrong device and still on the iPad. So this is the entry screen, or no, this is the main screen of the application. I can navigate to different rooms in the house. For example, in the garden, I can arrange the devices here. I have the outside of my house with a webcam, and I push the button here for the roller blind to go down, and you see on the one window, roller blinds are going down. So this is all live on that device. I can do the same thing from here in the kitchen, move the roller blinds down, turn the light on. So this is just for you to see that this is all real and live. And I was showing this on different fairs and also on the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And with the time difference to there, the roller blinds are going up and down all nights, and the lights are going on and off. And the neighbors were wondering what's going on. And so now they are calling my house the ghost house because all weird things are going on there. And what you can also do in this application is you can have scenarios. This is an example scenario. A scenario is when something happens in the house, you want to do something else, or timely based. So here, this is a condition. I can choose a device, for example, when the car is being turned on, or I can add other conditions, and then I can add an action. Trigger device. I select the device here, so now I configured a useless rule, which is if I turn on the car, the light in the bathroom will go on. But what I wanted to show you is that it's quite simple, and everyone can create such a rule on a mobile device. So I think the user interface with HTML5 and what we have now with development tools like Burkhardt, it's very, very easy to do that. I will not save that rule, of course. Another thing you can do is profile. A profile is for example, a temperature profile during the winter for your heating or also for your air condition. You can modify that. So you choose the day. Now I choose Tuesday, and you can swipe through it usually, and then you can drag and drop the different temperature levels on this. So for example, if I go to Monday, so now we have 25 degrees, and of course this is also only for demo mode here right now, because 25 is a bit too much. In my house, I have one rule configured when I turn on my car in the winter, and the current address is the work address, and it's between a certain time period, the heating at home goes on. That means once I'm arriving at home, the heating is the home is warm, nice and warm, and I save with that a lot of energy. So per average, with that feature, I'm saving about 400 liters of oil a year. Because when the last person leaves the room, you push a button, the heating goes into night mode, and because both of us are at work during the day, you don't need the heating. And when we go back, just turn on the car and the house goes warm again. And I think this is a very convenient feature, because you don't have to do anything additionally besides pressing that button when you leave. But when you go home, you cannot forget it, because the car is sending all that information. With a little OBD dongle that has a SIM card, you just plug it into the service port, and that's the whole hardware setup. So now I will continue my demo on my PC device in the browser. What you see there is from a developer's perspective for smart home. So this is not a typical end-user user interface, which was what I was showing here on the iPad. But here on the PC, I can show you the full extent of the capabilities here. So if things are too technical or too complicated, don't wonder about it. It's a development interface. So I have here on that page the devices that I use most. It's not all of them, it's only like a selection of the ones I use most. Because I have 260 devices, and if you have all of them on one page, it gets unusable. So here we have, for example, the things I can do in the living room. So I can turn on and off the home entertainment, the speakers, the TV, ventilation, water. So I can turn on the water in the living room, which means that I have a little bucket in my basement of water and very small pipes that are going to the different plants, and they are automatically watered. So there's a very interesting company called Kubati. They are making little plant sensors. You're plugging them in the plant, and usually on your iPhone or iPad, you get a notification when you have to water the plant, but here it's going to the home system and it's automatically watered. The only thing where I don't have a solution yet is, what is düngen in English? Yeah, I don't remember now, sorry, but düngen. Fertilize it, right, sorry. Yeah. The only thing I have to still do manually is to fertilize it. And I already made a request to Gardena because the autonomous lawnmower that I have in the garden, he can also fertilize the meadow right in a way. So maybe the next release can do that. Looking forward to that. So we have the different lights here. You can have light scenes in all colors. Roller blinds, heating can all be configured and connected here. So when I turn on the TV, it can be like here in a button in the browser or on the app here, or actually the physical button in the home with a remote control. The TV goes on. That means the power to the TV turns on. It means the power to the stereo and the satellite receiver are turned on. And when the system sends infrared signals to connect the satellite receiver to the stereo, it sets the satellite receiver into to connect to the TV and not to the radio. And it also checks if it's dark outside and when it's adjusting the light conditions in the room. So everything is going automatically. And I still only pressed one button. And there's another very convenient feature, which I can show you here. Yeah. So the TV is mounted on the top right side here. And when I sit on the couch, I have a good image. But if I sit here on the table, I cannot see the TV. That means I have to rotate the TV. And but not manually, of course. So depending on which switch I pressed in the room, if it's a switch close to the table or the one on the remote here on the wall here, the TV is automatically rotating to the right position. And that is actually convenient. So this area used to be my kitchen, and right now I'm converting it to office, to my home office space, because the kitchen moved around down here. But this is like a screenshot of my house. So when there was that hype a few years ago with Second Life, I also built my house in Second Life again, for those of you who remember that. And my avatar could walk into the house in Second Life, turn on a virtual house, turn on a virtual light in Second Life, and it went on there, but the actual light in the real house also went turned on. And same for shutters, TV, stereo. So it was a fully 3D, real virtual house, interconnected. So that was very interesting at the time. Right now, Second Life, it's not gone, but I think not a lot of people are using it. But I still took these screenshots, so I can turn on the light on and off here on that screen as well. So another interesting use case, what we have here, I have a brightness sensor. So when the sun is getting up in the morning, you measure the brightness, and when it's getting dark, the roller blinds are moving down in the house automatically, depending on the brightness. So there was one problem, or two problems with that. So first thing, in the morning, I set it to a certain time for the roller blinds to go up, because in the summer, sun is getting up at 5 a.m., and it was too early, so I learned that that's not a good idea. The second thing, when I was in the garden doing a barbecue with friends and the roller blinds moved down at the door, I had to run. So I needed a solution for that problem as well. And when I started that 10 years ago, I wired up the whole thing. But in the meanwhile, a lot of wireless technologies emerged, very smart technologies. So that means now retrofitting your house without running wires is certainly possible. And one wireless technology that I found particularly interesting is an ocean. So this is a switch. It's cut in half here, so you can see the insides, but basically it's a switch. And the interesting thing about that, it's wireless, and it has no battery. So by pressing the button, you generate a little piece of electricity that is just enough to send a wireless packet. So if you buy such a switch, you have double-sided tape, you attach it to the wall, and there is your new switch. You never replace a battery. And imagine if I have 260 devices, and they all run on batteries, I would have to change 260 batteries a year. Maybe I would get pretty much every second day an alert that on some devices a battery is running out of power. So I think that is not manageable. But with this kind of devices, this is very interesting. And coming back to that door to the garden, there's also a door handle using the same technology. So you have two screws to attach the new door handle, and then you have a connected door handle. And now when the door is opened, the roller blinds are blocked, so I don't have to run to the house when it's getting dark. And I think particularly an ocean is very good. But of course, there's a lot of competition with sensors that are battery-based, and they are much cheaper. So of course, that is also an alternative. And now I have friends and colleagues living nearby, and also my parents, and we also want their roller blinds going down when it's getting dark. And because I have a sensor already, I was sharing that information in the cloud. And the brightness outside of the house is not security relevant in any way, so I even published that to anyone. And my parents and colleagues and friends are now became friend of my brightness sensor, and their roller blinds are going down according to my sensors because they live close by. And I think this is one simple but powerful example of that technology. So here you get an overview of where I spent my money. So this is for today, since midnight. So I see that I spent 75 cents on water, 56 cents on electricity, the heat pump 12 cents, and I will get €1.50 so far for the electricity that I'm feeding to the grid from the photovoltaic system. And the garage has 2 cents. But the garage has a 7 extra meter for some reasons. So what we see here is my electric meter in the house. So here this is the 0 line. That means here I'm feeding electricity to the grid, and here I'm using it. So last night it became dark at like 8:30. We were watching the game on TV, of course, and then we went to bed at some point. At that time, you can see what the devices are doing there at that time. And now in the morning, the sun woke up, and now at about noon, you see that I'm now suddenly using electricity again. No one is at home, so no one is cooking in the moment, but it's the heat pump. And it was detected that the photovoltaic system is about at its peak, and now automatically the heat pump started. And it's converting the electricity, so to say, to warm water so we can have a shower in the evening. So these devices are connected now also in the house. And also my freezer. The freezer, I can send it a price signal, which means 0 is electricity is very cheap, and 10 it's very expensive. And the system is automatically sent that value from 0 to 10, and the freezer can adjust the cycle. So during the day, it's cooling down more, so he doesn't need electricity, so much electricity in the evening. So I'm not saving electricity, but I can shape the usage of it. And you can see that here, until like 3:30 in the night, the freezer didn't use any electricity, or only a little bit, not for cooling it down, and when he needed, again, the freezing cycles, and this is what you can see here. And without that technology, you would see like these freezing cycles here during the whole night. So these are only a few simple use cases that I could show here. What else is a bit technical but interesting? Here the nightly minimum is also interesting value. So this is like the minimum consumption of your house. And I saw on first day that something is using much more power than usual. So I was looking and I couldn't find it on first day. Only on Friday when I forgot the light in a storage area. And through that, I saw that. Otherwise, it could run for like another month or so until the next time I go to that storage in the basement. So it can notify you also about changes. And I have only 3 minutes left, but there's one more example that I found interesting. I have a special mailbox. So it has 2 parts. The upper part is for the normal mail, and here is for a parcel. So the mailman can open that, insert the parcel, close it, and then it's locked. So it's only one parcel that you can put in, and when it's locked, and only I can open it. But when no one is at home, and someone is ringing the doorbell, I get a call on my mobile phone, and I can talk to the mailman. And 10 years ago, it was very weird. So the mailman said, "Are you making fun out of me?" And I said, "No, I really want the parcel." So it's real, because when I said I'm not at home, they look a bit dazzled, and you can see the whole scene in the webcam also. So now, if I'm not familiar with that special mailbox, I tell them to leave the parcel in it. And if it's too big, of course, I can enter a code here, and that unlocks the garage, so they can walk over to the garage, open it, and leave the larger parcels in there. So today, actually, I couldn't pick up my phone, and it was too big for this. I couldn't open the garage, but the guy walked around the house and left the parcel there, so I can see it here. But talking to someone who is in front of your house is very, very useful, so you can sort out things like easily. And I also, the system also, when someone rings the doorbell or I get a mail or parcel, it takes a series of photos which are emailed to me. So today I can see the DHL person delivering it. I clearly couldn't fit into the parcel compartment here. And I know who brought it and when. So we have 1 minute left. And are there questions in the room to that?